Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. Kind of a thrown together telecon this time. No official set topic, but Sean and then Isaiah have some updates to give. If anyone else wants to talk about some cool stuff they've been working on, this is the telecon to do it. So I don't have any big overall announcements right now. So I'll go ahead and yield the floor to you, Sean.
Nice. And I can say I got a text from Isaiah, so small chance he might be joining us soon. But yeah, we have been working on the heliophysics software search interface quite a bit. We've been adding some new features to it, and we have quite a bit to show off. I was going to let Isaiah lead that because he's been doing most of the development there. But in the meantime, I've been working on a couple things that feel like they're ready to show off, so I could go ahead and do that. Just one second here.
Yay,
Um,
show and tell time. Let's see.
Yes.
yep.
That's the word I was looking for when I was trying to describe this telecon. It's a show and tell.
Um, One second. I'm getting a text from Isaiah. I'd poked him on text and let him know that the telecon started 5 minutes ago, and that was news to him. Was nine. Okay, so anyway,
Actually,
we'll
to
see how that
interrupt,
goes.
I used to have a calendar invite on my calendar, but for some reason I don't anymore.
Oh,
So did it expire with January 1? And is that why we're having lower numbers show up? Or...
which calendar invite are you talking about? Because I don't usually send it out to the whole PyHC crew. I send
that
out
might...
email reminders, but
Well, then maybe I made my own and it expired, but then we should think, hey, do we want to have a calendar invite that goes out to everyone on PyHC?
we could. We could.
I do
Yeah.
like the idea because I bring it up to some people on our team and they're like, oh, I forgot that those meetings happen because if they don't make their own calendar invite, they're not there in advance.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I can test drive trying that for upcoming telecons and see if I get too many angry emails about getting calendar invites they didn't want.
Well, I'm thinking just one, like, hey, here's the series. Put it on your calendar, no reply required, sent out to everyone. So it's just sitting there on their calendar as a tentative or whatever.
True, true.
Totally.
Because I like having the series on the calendar. So it kind of makes it less weighty than an individual one.
Gotcha.
Nice. Well, cool. Um, I'm looking at the attendance list here, and at least four of you here, I might actually be asking you to test drive these little GitHub actions that I'm about to show off here in a second. So I'm glad that we got you here. I think I might as well go ahead and share my screen and talk about them for a minute. So I'm gonna take it over. We want desktop one and scroll back. There we go. Cool. So I didn't prepare any kind of slides or any kind of formal thing here. Uh-oh. Why is that? Uh, I hope GitHub's website isn't down. That would be a fascinating thing to happen at 9 a.m. Okay, no, it is not. All right. So anyway, where to start this conversation? On pyhe.org, as most people probably know at this point, we announced that we adopted FEP3 over here. And right now, one of the best ways you have for knowing whether or not you're in support of it is by looking at the support schedule over here, where we have like this lovely Gantt chart where this red line shows you where we are now in time, and you can just see by what's being intersected what are the versions that should be in support right now. But that's a little hard to discern. No one wants to go back and check a page all the time, blah, blah, blah. Even though I'm sending out quarterly email reminders too, I was just thinking there had to be a nicer way to automate knowing whether or not you're doing this. And so I sat down for a while just to see, is it possible to make a GitHub action that can check a package for compliance with FEP3? And I came across something that actually worked pretty well. So I went ahead and beefed it up, and I made a version for the PyHC environment compatibility too, because they actually do kind of similar things to check. And these are on GitHub now. The basic idea is that you can use them with more or less just a little bit of boilerplate that you would always put in any GitHub Actions YAML file, and then this one liner of just checking out the action right here. And I'm kind of imagining this being used on like pushes to just basically to anytime changes happen to a package or upon any pull request. Maybe even you could run them like quarterly. These would run, and the basic idea is you'll just get a green check mark if everything is good and nothing will happen. But if there is a version that is outside of FEP3's compliance, you could get a red X in your CI, and that could let you know immediately whether or not you are in the right versions. There's not too much more to say about the basic concept. It's pretty straightforward. You can get outputs like this from the FEP3 compliance checker. Like, say, for example, you went ahead and added Python greater than or equal to 313. Well, that would be dropping support for Python 312 too soon. And I can zoom in on that message a little bit, and it would tell you Python greater than or equal to 313 drops support for Python 312 too early. Suggested is changed to requires Python blah. Same with like, if you had NumPy less than 2 still, I would warn you that it's been more than 6 months since the NumPy 2 release, and you should not be doing that. We also give warnings for things that just aren't good practice, like having an upper bound on something. This will also do the same if you have an exact equals equals on something. That's not an error, just we're saying, hey, you should probably avoid doing that. And then the PyHC environment compatibility is basically the same kind of thing, where in theory, if your package is completely in line with the required versions in the PyHC environment, nothing will happen. You'll just get a green check mark, or you could get errors. Like if you required NumPy less than 2, but the PyHC environment is currently requiring this range, then that's incompatible. And so this would just let people know yeah, in advance if they're doing things. And I'll show off some mock PRs I've done here in a second about how they actually work, and you can see how quickly they run, etc. But I'm seeing a hand raised already, so I'll stop. What's up, Sandy?
So really cool. Um, so Anosi says it requires UV. So
Yep.
are we requiring people? That's just what it's using. We're not requiring people to use UV for
No, you do not have to
packages.
adopt UV formally for this to work. But yes, there is a bit at the beginning of the workflow that will check out UV. But yeah, all
Okay,
you
so it checks out UV, so we don't have to pre-install UV for our
nope.
anything.
And
Okay, cool. That was
and
my
wow.
technical question. Because I've switched to UV, but getting other people to switch to it is a thing. But if we're just like magic program that gets called in background, then we're good.
Yep. And actually, that's a lot of the magic that allowed this to exist, actually, was the fact that I was taking a look at everything UV can do, and I realized, like, oh, wait, this can do very helpful things very quickly. So,
Yeah, it's PyHC's turned me on to UV, but I haven't had a chance to convert others yet.
mhm. But because I've done some of this stuff with just regular pip before, but actually a lot of it just would have been too slow that no one would want to use it. Like for example, the PyHC environment stuff, it used to take roughly 30 minutes to solve the environment the way I was doing it. And sometimes pip would just not be able to solve it if you tried to just give it the names of the packages and let it go do its thing. And I still don't know exactly what UV's magic sauce is, but they are able to resolve environments in like a split second, and they can list recursive dependencies, or maybe transitive dependencies is the right word, of a package very quickly. So if you want to like see, you know, for FEP3 compliance, what do you require? They can give a tree of that real quick. And that's basically how this one works is we're just taking the package and we are installing it into like a blank UV environment and then just running like it has like a pip tree command. And then I've got a bunch of parsing code. There's actually like thousands of lines of code behind both of these actions to make it to work. There's like all these edge cases you have to catch, and I'm supporting legacy Python packages that just use like setup.py or setup.config files instead of just ones that do pyproject.toml files. And I'm proud of that because I took basic inspiration from Spec Zero first. They started some work in progress action to check is the package Spec Zero compliant. But like literally all they were doing was scanning like the text of a pyproject.toml file. And if you didn't use that, nothing would happen and it was brittle anyway. So I made this lovely, robust thing and I'm pretty proud of it.
I'm
So
so glad you
anyway,
did it so we don't have to, quite legit.
yeah.
How long you said pip was slow and UV fast. How long does this action take to run?
I was about to show you guys. It is
Right?
seconds. Um, so I've opened mock pull requests to check this out. I did it with the core packages first because I figured the core packages would be the first ones to be, you know, I would ask the first ones first, ask them first. Hopefully these GitHub problems don't stop us from looking at everything. Nick did confirm in chat that GitHub is having issues today. But how about I will go down here. Merge status cannot be loaded. Whoops. Well, I'll check out a couple others in case one of them happens to be alive. Um, I will go ahead and say that it's just a few seconds to run them. The FEP3 check runs in about 10 seconds pretty much every time, and the environment check is about a minute. So let's. Hey Nick, I'm gonna call you out here. Sorry about that. Um, because I'm gonna try to run plasma pies here, and there actually is one FEP3 issue that it finds, and we'll see it here. Um, since we have the output, I'll go ahead and just show it, and then I'll hit this little refresh so you can see how quickly we get back over here. But apparently, Plasma Pi is dropping support for X-Ray 2024.5 just a little bit too early. We're still supposed to be supporting 2024.2. Sorry, still supposed to be supporting that one. You guys are on greater than or equal to that one.
Ooh, can you run it on Happy server on the Happy client?
I have already.
Ooh,
Um,
what's
and I
that one
think that
say?
was this tab over here. Yep, client Python pull. We'll see if it loads. Yes. And click that one. I guess they must have some load balancing or something because it's working sometimes. There we go. With happy, I think there was just warnings. There should have been just warnings for pretty much everything. Yep, this is one where there's no pi project.toml, so we'll get a warning about that, and then falling back to UV support. Uh, It's just saying you could be dropping old versions of pandas and NumPy because you're not required to support versions this old anymore. But everything else was good there. And I'll go ahead and click rerun now that I have one that's pulled up and we can see. Of course, wouldn't it be interesting if because GitHub Actions is behind GitHub, maybe network issues will cause this to be a problem?
So is PyProject.toml the requirement for Gold Star Python PyHC package?
Yeah, good question. I don't know that we actually called out that specifically. Do you remember, Julie? Done.
No, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Succeeded in 16 seconds. And look, we got the same output. That is good. And then the pie, so yeah, I think that's enough about that one. I could just show one more time, well, not one more time for the first time, the other checker. And this one here with the environment, this actually had me re-architect the whole PyHC environment repo a little bit, which I won't really get into how I did it, but I'm seeing the last time this thing ran, it finished in 20 seconds. Let's see if it does that again. But in a long story short, I used to do for the PyHC environment, the way I would solve it was I would take every PyHC package and I would isolate it in its own environment. And then I would use a tool called pip dep tree, and it would list all of the transitive dependencies of a package. And I was basically lining all of them up as columns in a spreadsheet and then combining all those requirements all the way into like this leftmost column where it would show you the allowed version range for every dependency. And now I've kind of retooled it to where the PyHC environment starts just as one simple requirements file that's just all the PyHC packages pinned to their latest versions with equals equals. And UV solves the environment. And now I'm able to do that resolution in like 1 minute instead of 30 minutes, because that's how long it used to take to install every package one by one. And then this action over here, now that we have that starting point as a requirements file, it actually just goes and grabs the requirements file from the PyHC environment GitHub, and it finds the entry for the package we're testing. So like this is client Python, it would find the happy client line in that requirements file, delete it, and then insert the local editable version of the package, and then just do the exact same UV compile to try to resolve the environment. And if it resolves, then you win. You get a green check mark. If it doesn't resolve, I have hundreds of parsing code, hundreds of lines of parsing code inside the action that will break apart the tree and give you nicely formatted warnings that show you what the problem was. But none of the
So is
core
this like
packages.
package by package? So this will tell us, hey, your version is going to conflict with a master build that would also include PySpeedS or SunPy or something like that.
Yes, and this is every published PyHC package. So there are a few that aren't in PyPI, and those don't get messed with. But I think I could actually just go ahead and go over here real quick and show you what the file is. But yeah, the idea here is the reason why I'm making this is I would love to live in a world sometime in the near future where um, every PyHC package runs these two checks all the time. So we would just know in advance, right when you change a package, whether or not, oops, I just added a dependency that's going to add a conflict and make it hard to install with every other PyHC package, or whoops, there's a version of something that I should be supporting now, but I'm not supporting it yet. Stuff like that. Eh.
Okay.
Is there a way to, so for the FEP3 check, um, for at least for spec 0, it's saying that if there are new features that you need or bugs that whatever, you don't have to follow it strictly, but it's just like strongly recommended. For
Yeah.
Xarray for Plasma Pi, I believe that was because of some interoperability issue with AstroPi units. So is there a way to say um, there are allowed exceptions that like we have good reasons for not supporting this version?
I haven't added that in there yet, but I'd take that as a formal feature request. The
I
one
could create
edge
an issue
case,
if GitHub lets me.
yeah, the one thing I did hit already was SunPy had a thing where they were requiring like basically the newest version of NumPy, but only for Python 3.14. And that's not a situation that we anticipated in FEP 3, so we actually didn't have a rule for it. And I wrote a custom rule inside the action that basically just says that like as long as you're using a marker for like one of the newer versions of Python and the older version works in some older version, then that'll be fine. So I've already added in a special edge case for something like that. I would be happy with giving a little input to the job that says like if the package name equals blah, manually ignore it, please.
Okay. Could you put a
And
link to the repo in the chat?
yep.
Thanks.
And I was over there refreshing the page a few times trying to see if I could pull up uh the package list on the environment, but it is just not letting me open that file. So I might basically just stop talking there. And yeah, I guess maybe before I stop talking about it, I'll mention that you you core package maintainers expect to see a PR like this in your real repos soon. I've got an introductory paragraph giving you the high level and then a summary of what they check, a note, link, some stuff like that. There is still just like one more thing I want to finish sprucing up in the revised version of the PyHC environment, and then I'll make an update to the environment checker, and then it's ready for production. So that's a this week thing. And all right,
Awesome.
it's enough of that. I think we could talk about HSSI for a little bit.
Great. And we do now have Isaiah. Thanks for joining, Isaiah.
Hello.
Feel
Yeah.
free to take the floor whenever you're ready. No slides or anything needed. Just present some of what we've been working on.
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me? I don't see my thing
Yep,
lighting up.
we can hear
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and share the screen here. So yeah, I've been working on a few things for HSI since the last time we talked, but it seems like GitHub is having some issues. That's all right.
It
We
sure
can
is.
just go ahead and show off the website. Yeah, so the most exciting thing that's happened is we've got a new logo now, so that's fun. Thanks to a grad student, Juliana. Um, she did some UX in her free time. But yeah, so I guess the first thing that you'll probably notice here is we've got a lot more packages submitted. Thank you to everyone in the community submitting stuff, especially Sean, who's got an awesome AI tool that's going around and automatically, I guess, I don't know exactly how it works, but streamlining the package submissions, really. Um, and another cool feature that Sean has added here is there's these each entry has its own sort of individual page now, so we can just I guess I should make sure I am sharing my screen, right? It says I am, but you guys can
Totally.
see that, right?
we can see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've got these landing pages now, which is another awesome addition by Sean. It shows us important things that it shows us every single piece of data we have about the software in one page, um, which was kind of originally planned to just be crammed onto this little nugget that we have here on the front page or in the search results. But now I think it's a better idea to have most of it here and only display what's necessary on the front page. So everything that we have about the package is just displayed here in a nice and easily digestible format if we need to refer to it for any reason, or if you need to check information about something you've permitted that you've submitted, or a colleague of yours has submitted, and you don't necessarily have access to go into the editing page and check to see what data they've submitted for it. So that's a nice thing here. Another one of the major things that has been implemented, I guess, since the last time I talked about this here at PyHC is the search functionality, which is now it's something that you can do now. Last time it wasn't even implemented. This search bar was just kind of a vestigial organ. And it's kind of sad because a lot of people, tried to search for their package or whatever. So if we search for a space pie, it should show up here. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So the search works. Yay. We also have these additional filtering tabs here. Before it was just functionality. Since then, we've added a few different tabs that we can filter by based on what you need for your capabilities for the software that you're trying to utilize. So primarily, function categories can be probably the primary one, is at least what we're trying to make it be, because it seems to be the most useful for filtering out specific functionality that you need. But there's a few kind of nuances to it, and I guess I can just kind of show those off. So first off, I'm going to clear the search bar so that everything shows up. And if you just filter by a single category, like a top level category, it'll go ahead and it'll include all these subcategories here. So that and they don't, yeah. Right now it's just showing top level categories up here. But if you search for specific subcategories, it only includes those, which I guess there's none that includes both of these. That's interesting. Wow, none that include ionosphere either. Is that right? That may need to be investigated. But yeah, the functionality here is that if you want to include one or multiple filters, you can have it be an inclusive search or an exclusive search by swapping between and or. So if I were to select C in Fortran, then if I apply this right now, that's applied as an or filter. So you can see this one has C and Fortran. But this one only has one. So if I change this to just only include C and Fortran, specifically let's do Fortran 90 actually. And if I select and here, it'll only show up if it has both of those. So that's sort of the difference there that I think is a little bit nuanced, and I think we're going to try and flush out the UI a little bit to make that more obvious. Because we did have a user testing session, or 2 user testing sessions, where people seemed to be a little bit, they either didn't notice that it was there and that you could switch between them, or they didn't seem to quite understand it. And also, another one of the kind of hidden features of this is you can invert the conditions. That's just, it's nowhere in documentation or nowhere anywhere really. So we do need to add some sort of how to filter little help tab here. But if you just click on the filter here and then press apply, that basically means only show results that don't have this function category here. And yeah, so that's another, I mean, it's, there's a lot of different functionalities that you can, a lot of different useful ways you can filter out search results based on what you need exactly. And right now, I think we did just make a bunch of changes to this filtering. So it looks like a bug may have gone past us with this, because it seems like these subregions are just showing up nothing. So I definitely will have to look into that. It's kind of awkward to have that happen during a demo, but yeah, so that's another big feature we've kind of worked on a lot. I do believe just displaying these filter categories is kind of new as well since the last time we showed this.
Yeah, would it be worth
Um,
mentioning that you're building a couple different APIs into this so machines can interact with our software list a little bit better?
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Talk about it.
So yeah, the submission API, I guess, is a important thing to note here. I wish GitHub was working here because there's not really. Yeah, we have this documentation page on how to use it, but can't see that right now. So the idea behind that is that instead of having to use um, this submission page, if we have another um, partner who has a repository of software packages that potentially want to do mass submissions for, heliophysics software to our website, they can utilize a submission API. And the endpoint for that is at API/submit. And of course, I can tell you it's a post expected because um, you really, it's meant to be sent to the website through a post request, not entered into a browser window like this. But let's see here, network. To do this, I can just manually send a post request through the Firefox tools. And let's see if I can actually pull up. So I can't pull it up on GitHub. So let's see if I can just pull up it on VS Code. What the structure of the submission API looks like, so I can share that with you guys.
Yeah, I'm starting to
Okay,
see
so
lots of talks about GitHub being down in LASP's Slack now, and lots of people starting to make the joke that, oh, it's time to go do something else today.
oh boy, can we still pull and push from it? I hope so, at least. And there's also this one. So yeah, this is the structure of the JSON file that you would submit to this API. And at top level, you have this just JSON array, so you can submit obviously multiple submissions. But it pretty much includes all the same exact fields that you have in this submission form here. It's a little bit different because it's a direct communication layer with the model, the database model, rather than going through the GUI view abstraction to make it simpler for users. But it should pretty much have all the fields that you'd expect it to have, like a submitter here. Ask for an email, and then you enter in information about yourself or whoever that submitter is corresponding to, which could be someone else if you're submitting on their behalf. And it just adds in all these different things. So the bigger thing is let's see, for a field like for related region, for example, these are drop down menus, and these are on the back end, they're just referred to as UUIDs. So whenever you select something from here, it sends the UUID to the server. But obviously, we don't want to force people to just use a UUID, which is just like a random string of numbers and letters. So we can just on here. Let's see if I can find related region. Yeah, so in the submission API, it's just a string search. So you can include just the name of what you would see in the dropdown. And you can just include that as a list here. Because as you can see here, it's multiple selection. So yeah, and all the fields that are like that, it's the same idea. You just submit a string of whatever the name is that you would select from the drop-down menu.
And then
And
sorry to interrupt you, Isaiah, up there, but we're having a meeting with the HSSI team later today to discuss another API. And isn't that something like allowing, was it maybe the Helio Data website to access like the list of our software? I don't actually remember. I need to go review those documents.
yeah, so we actually do have a fetching, or oh, like this is the submission API, right? We also have a sort of output API. And so that's just going to be, I mean, third parties like Helio Data, could use that for sure. Anyone could use it. And we do have it right now as an API. I can kind of show that here. API slash view. Actually, hold on. I need to get the UUID of a specific. So so to get the UUID, it's just going to be this backslash up here. I think at least. Hold on, is that going to work? Yeah. So yeah, if you do the API view, API slash view slash UUID of the software, then that'll basically give you this JSON file, and that's our retrieval API right now. But what we are intending to change it by is basically we're gonna make this output here be code meta compliant. So, and it's going to be a JSON LD file, so it'll be more useful for like different because it's going to conform to a standard. So a lot of people already have that functionality implemented for whatever they need it to be used for. And so that's what the idea is behind there, is it'll just be easy for people to utilize the API output once it's code meta compliant.
Yeah, and then I think I remember Rebecca mentioning Helio Data has lots of big plans for like if you go searching for different data sets or different instruments, you can get suggestions for here's some software that works with the data or the instrument, and here's metadata about the software and links to HSSI and all sorts of good discoverability stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember a discussion about that as well. Um, yes, I remember Helio Data. I actually forget what the website is, but is it just heliodata.org?
That's a
No, I
good
don't,
question.
I don't remember. But yeah, they've got sort of a similar, um, it's for databases, I believe, and they've got sort of like a similar um, landing page for their databases. When you search from them, you pull them up, and I think the idea behind it was that they would have a little section that links to our entries of software that refer to their databases. Um, like they would have a sort of page like this, and then they would have a section that says, related software or something. And they would just link to our landing pages that refer to their databases in that. And then we would be referring to their databases through this related datasets field here. So once that gets filled out through, I believe that they probably have the DOIs stored as metadata for the databases on the Helio Data website as well. And it would just be sort of like a cross join, and they would request our API. So yeah, I guess that's one thing that we would be adding specifically for them is, and for anyone else who wants to use it, is we would have a REST API to not just get one specific software, but to get all the software entries from our website as JSON files. And get send that, or sorry, as JSON objects in one JSON file in an array. So I think that was kind of the thought process behind that. And that'll be really great, especially when other websites in our start interlinking in a way like that that allows us to, use data from each other in ways like that.
Totally. And I hope by sharing people's software like this, we get more users and people are able to work with their data and their instruments easier, and that we all just benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as far as features go, I think that's just about all I have to really
Hmm.
show here.
Isaiah, I have a question. Is there an interface yet for package maintainers to update the records?
Oh yeah, there should. So yeah, when we when maintainers or submitters when they submit software, you should be getting basically a email that is a link, and when you click on that link, it should basically send you to the interface isn't any different. It's just the same form as this, but it sends you to basically this web page with all the information that you had already filled out before. And then just basically, if you wanted to make any changes, you would make changes to what's there. Then you'd press submit again, and it would just submit those as changes instead of as a new submission. Yeah, that should be. Was that Jim? Was that you that was talking?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I'm not sure if have you gotten those emails? Have you not been getting those
I
emails?
think I don't know, that was several months ago at this point, and for some reason I have it
Okay.
in my head that that was a time limited link. I could be wrong about that. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, we can send you another link. It was 90 days at some point, but I think we've changed it since then. But yeah, there's also plans that we talked about to basically add a button on one of these, on this, on, for example, PySpeedos, we would add a button here, a little drop-down menu that allows you to request an edit link. Um, and it'll ask basically for the email that you entered in, and if it matches, um, what was entered into the submission, then it'll resend the email to, that the email that was so that we can't just have anyone, request an edit link, I guess is the reasoning behind
Yeah.
making it ask for the email to match. Um,
But in the
so
meantime, we
yeah,
can regenerate those submission links if anyone has lost theirs and wants it again.
Well,
yes,
I was
absolutely.
going to ask, what about software that you didn't submit yourself? Like Komodo, somebody else submitted it for us, and I don't know who did that, and so I would never have gotten any information on it.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, this was also one of the reasons why we wanted to add a sort of request for, I don't really know what we were going to call it, but a request to transfer, I guess, uh, submitters.
Yeah, like claim
So
a
like,
package or something.
yeah, like claiming a package, I think would be a better name. We haven't done anything formal like that. We don't really have an exact idea what that's going to look like, but there is going to be some sort of option eventually that allows users to, select a button, because we don't want people to just obviously claim packages they don't own, but there is going to be some sort of process to allow us to transfer that um, in the future through curators, through people who are, maintaining these packages on the website, like Sean and Rebecca and Julie and I, um, so that, like you said, you're able to claim these packages if you are the maintainer. We don't know what that is going to look like yet, but I think that for this, the Komodo analysis suite, if you did want to do that, you could also just, let's see, do we have an email listed on here? I don't know if we do, but let's see, what even is our email for this? Because if you shot us an email, we could definitely get that worked out. If you wanted to edit that, any information there. Let me just go ahead and see if we have that somewhere. Julie or Sean, do you guys know what that is off the top of your heads? The contact email for.
Yeah, let me grab that real quick.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. It's usually something Google Groups. hssi-team@googlegroups.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Perfect. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've really got to show. So
Yeah, no, thank you.
Oh, thanks for that presentation, Isaiah. Anyone have any comments or questions or anything after hearing everything today? Do you have your own update on your project you might want to relay? All right. 5 seconds of awkward silence have passed. Great. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. And yeah, same time, same place, 2 weeks. I'll test drive putting out some kind of mass invite for the PyHC list. Feel free to leave it as tentative and only show up when you want and are able.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.